All right, so apparently, it really deserves a watch. For this goes if this goes through and the MLS doesn't ruin it, it will be great for football in America. And JoJo agrees that it's worth watching. So
Big developments
let's
in the
get into
land of
it.
real bacon and freedom going on right now. And I think, even though you might not care about it, and even though you have no idea what I'm going to be talking about most of the time, and that's allegedly, I think this is potentially the biggest change that's happened to U.S. soccer in the last 20 years. I really mean that.
I don't even know if I've heard about what
that
this is.
I think is the biggest step that the United States could take into developing a wider network of domestic talent, right? And being able to, in some way, fill in the gaps that always exist in the United States. Because if you don't know how this sort of stuff works in the U.S., it's kind of insane when you know how it works
It is
in every other
absolutely
part
insane.
of the world, right? The United States just does not have a local club system anywhere. In what country you are from, it is very
In any sport, there is no local club system. We have a very, very different relationship with sports.
likely that you live in a country where within 20 to 30 minutes of your house, there is going to be a youth team that you could join that has a senior team above it, and you have that opportunity given to you. If you're from England, you have no idea how fortunate you even are to have. I mean, you go all the way down to, maybe it's a 10th tier team, but there is a senior team attached to those youth teams that you could join and play in these local leagues, right? And in France and in Germany and Portugal and Spain and Italy, in freaking Greece, right? Like these exist all over. In the United States, that's just not really how it works. The United States is just socially built in a different way. There's a certain trajectory that you follow. Right, and there are changes that are happening to this, which is why we're talking about it. I'm just filling in the background for you. But a lot of the clubs that you play at, if you are a kid, right, into U18, a lot of things into U18 in the United States. The age of 18 is a very sharp cutoff in the United States. Not only are you eligible to be drafted and those sorts of things, that is when you finish high school. You either go to work or you go to college.
But you can't drink. Got to wait 3 more years for that. But you can drive. You can do other things too.
And there is a new era. You move on, right? And there is not a large network of lower league senior men's teams that exists in the United States. There just aren't. There are men's leagues, right? But you pay $150 a person and you join a league with all your friends, and then a ref shows up who's just some dude that works for, this organization. And they rent out fields, and you play on those fields. There's no pyramid. There's no,
right.
Those men's league teams, you play like a 10-match season, and then you have a playoff, and then you go on to the next season, right? There's no youth teams associated with it. It's not an actual club. It doesn't represent.
Zealand, I love you so much, but your rant videos are ranty. So what we're going to do here, we're just going to give them a little boost just to get to the point. His content's great. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Oh. I did the worst. One. We want 125. My bad.
An area or a neighborhood or a city block or anything. It's just a couple of friends that get together and do it that way. I play in some of those men's leagues. So there are people, grown-up people that are playing or whatever, but there aren't clubs, right? And when you're a kid, even in the United States, you have to pay a certain amount of money, a couple $100 or whatever, to join these clubs because there's no senior team.
Pay to play. Don't we all love it? You have to pay to be on the team. Yeah, I love it.
Team that provides any money at all for this. It's not free. It's not discounted, right? If you don't happen to live near an MLS team, which, the United States is huge, then you really don't have an opportunity like that. There are, USL and NPSL teams, and those are proliferate.
The sound of the video a little bit better now? You guys let me know.
Rating, right? There's more and more of them, and they're actually, in my opinion, doing a better job than MLS in trying to create that kind of network. And the way I look at it is like a net that is able to catch talent around the country that is, maybe has a chance to develop Because you never know. There might be a 13, 14-year-old out there that if they were given the appropriate coaching could become a high-level international player. But if they're playing in Montana, you're never going to know.
Right.
They're going to, right? And that sort of thing doesn't happen in countries that are very successful. Right? In Brazil, that sort of thing does not happen because there are so many clubs and so many opportunities to play. And in England, that sort of thing does not happen. There isn't the legend.
I appreciate you guys. A lot of times I can't tell what the sound is like for you guys because the mixer for the output is different from what's in my ears. So thank you guys for the assist there. Hope it's better now.
Understanding that there was this kid that lived in South Dakota and he could have been great, but he wasn't. Just because, he didn't have an opportunity to play. There was no place for him to play. I grew up in Tampa, Florida. There was not a major there wasn't a senior semi-pro or professional team within an hour and a half of my front door. There's one that played in St. Petersburg, Florida, and there's one that played in Orlando. The St. Pete team was one of it was like USL, right? And then obviously Orlando City was created, but that was in like 2015. I was already in college by the time Orlando City was created. It was not something that existed before I was in college. Just gives you an idea. Tampa being like a top 15 size media market in the entire United States. And you can grow up in a city like that has millions of people in it and not have one professional or semi-professional team within an hour and a half of your front door. Okay, now granted, if you lived in certain parts of Tampa, maybe you're closer to St. Pete, maybe you're making that 30, 45-minute drive to be able to be in the, Tampa Bay Rowdies Youth Academy or something, but that's a one-off. Then you go to London.
Tampa Bay Rowdies? That's interesting. So is there something that's happening, like this new soccer news? Here we go. He's almost there. He's almost there, ladies and gentlemen.
There's like 47 million different clubs that you can wander into. So the United States has this big problem. And one of the biggest contributing factors to that is that those clubs never developed because college was like the original thing that society was organized around in the United States over the last 100, 150 years. Sports originated.
Sports just run through for some reason they run through our education system, and that's just true. Like most people, their sports experience in the United States coincides with their high school or their college. And if you're good in your high school, then you get the opportunity to play in college and have your university tuition paid for with scholarships to play sports. So our entire system is built around being good enough in high school at your school to be seen by scouts at colleges to get scholarships. That seems to be the case with most of it. I mean, there are some like you can play AAU basketball, club basketball and stuff like that to get potentially to get around that system. But for the most part, everything runs through our schools.
In the United States through college. It didn't originate through factories or whatever. It came up through college and then eventually became a professional sport. And soccer went the same way. Soccer is played at the collegiate level. And the change I'm talking about today happens in college itself, right? There are rumblings. There are sources that are discussing something that would be very, very useful. And I'm just going to read this. This is a tweet from U.S. men's national team prospects. College soccer is on the verge of a monumental shift in the landscape per numerous sources I've talked to in the past 24 hours. Here's what I know. There's a plan that most basic level will make the college soccer season a full-time season. Now, I used to broadcast college soccer when I was at Virginia, which is one of the best college soccer teams. And the way it works right now in the United States is they play like a 20-25 match season, and it is one of the 4 seasons. So you have your summer seasons, your fall, your winter, your spring. Right. Soccer happens in the fall. So they play a fall season. You play about 20 games over the course of the fall, and then you go into conference tournament and national tournament, and it's over by the end of the fall. Mm-hmm. What they're discussing now is transitioning to a more full-time professional type of calendar, but that is far from the only change that is being discussed here. And I'd heard rumblings about this when I was announcing college soccer. And this would be huge because it's going to align college soccer with the professional ranks and allow them to essentially serve as a greater development tool. Because right now, the best thing college soccer is there for is to provide opportunities to American players that don't want to give up on the dream. And honestly, the number one thing college soccer seems to be used for is to provide different players that couldn't quite make it in the professional ranks from around the world the opportunity to come and study and play in the United States.
Just get your college paid for, basically.
Ton of college soccer players in the United States are random dudes from Norway, from Germany, from France that just wanted to come over to the United States. And coaches in college soccer in the United States love recruiting foreign players because it looks better, quite honestly.
Whoa, Keebs in the comment or in the chat says if you play pro youth for a professional team, here, a lot of the time you can't play for your high school as well. So there's like a conflict of playing for your high school and also playing professionally. That's interesting.
Because the people that assume that foreign players are better than American players are not just people outside of America. That is a stereotype that permeates even with inside the United States. If you can sign a guy from the Norwegian, from a reserve team of a Norwegian professional league, that's better than signing some kid who just played for his local high school in Virginia. Even if the kid that played for his local high school in Virginia is actually super freaking good. Right? It just doesn't look nearly as good as going and signing that guy. And that's not a diss on the other guy that's coming from the Norwegian league, because he's got, much more academy and technical experience than somebody who's playing at their local high school, because the coach of the local high school is the geometry teacher.
That's an interesting point. Like the fact that I never even thought about how the bias towards European or South American players like actually hinders us from developing our own players. That's actually a problem, because it's like it's stunting our ability to have development of our own players, because we view other players as just inherently better because they have more experience, they have more the culture of football. So I get that. That's actually an impediment that I didn't think was there.
And so it one hand feeds the other, right? It's just kind of this self-perpetuating. It's true some of the time, and then it's reinforced even the times that it's not true that player over in Norway is better. But shifting into a full-time season would create overnight hundreds of teams that would be able to serve as a reserve league, as a ramp into being a professional footballer in the United States, not just coming over in a collegiate experience, not just not playing soccer for 7 of the 12 months out of the year, right? But something that it would be legit. But there's a lot of changes that have to go with.
Oh, I see, Philippe. So, okay, sorry. If you're watching this on YouTube, and I'm interacting with chat as well. So we were having that conversation about not being able to play in high school if you're also playing professionally. That makes sense. If you have a professional contract, the pro club doesn't want you to get injured in pointless games unless you work it out with your club as like a kind of a way for you to get experience. I don't know. That's interesting.
With this is where things get interesting. The shift will likely happen when MLS shifts. So a lot of talk about MLS shifting to a winter calendar, which is going to be tough for teams in like Colorado, but it is what it is. But here's the big part. How would it work? From those I've spoken to, there's high likelihood the U.S. Soccer Federation will be involved as a governing body and a power broker, which is good because right now college soccer is under something called the NCAA. The NCAA, it administers college athletics. It's a complete mess and a disaster, and it is pretty obsolete at this point. Currently, I believe there are 2 major conferences that have signaled to be on board, ACC and Big Ten, 2 of the biggest conferences in the country for sporting prowess.
Got to get the SEC in there.
I've heard mixed things on whether every single program in those conferences is on board. Yet the premise of how this is going to work is simple. The top 40 to 50 programs in college soccer are lining up their ducks in a row to go to the NCAA, which I was just telling you about earlier, and ask them to cooperate in this new venture. NCAA is losing the amateurism battle right now in so many sports. They don't have much leverage. I believe the pitch is work in cooperation with U.S. Soccer in this venture, or we will completely break away from the NCAA and join the U.S. Soccer umbrella, which would not be a bad thing. All of a sudden, the soccer teams associated with various university and colleges around the country would go under the U.S. Soccer umbrella and perhaps allow them to create affiliate relationships with various clubs. All of a sudden, the University of Virginia would be one of 5 or 6 colleges that has an affiliate relationship with, let's say, D.C. United. That would be a huge transformation in the number of feeder clubs, and it would also...
Yeah, I do think it would be good to break away from the NCAA. The NCAA is historically a bad... It's such a mess the way they try to regulate the college sports. So yeah, to break away from the NCAA would be huge. And then it makes it much easier, yeah, like he's saying, to integrate and affiliate with professional clubs.
So tie together the social and cultural prerogative, like the monumental social and cultural impact that college has in the United States in particular. There's somebody that is fortunate enough to have the opportunity to have friends all over the world in the U.S. going to college. And the experience and the expectation of going to college is on a completely different level for some reason in the United States. It's just like a part of life. And if you don't do it, it is a very conscious decision, and you have something in life that you are already pursuing and want to do. But even later, you find a lot of people try to kind of go back and get a degree in something, right? To be able to tie that in so that you don't have to fundamentally shift U.S. society to create academies and reserve teams, but allow kids to go to college. But then if they have a professional, avenue to allow them to continue to pursue that, but through college. That would solve so many problems for the United States here. They said it sounds like the new landscapes would be classified as semi-professional, and how it would work. There's possibility the players might have some role in the professional club landscape. Most likely that happened in the form of participating during the college offseason. That's still to be worked out, and any compensation during the season is another topic that I believe is in play. They actually were able to come in and add more to this because it definitely seems like it's gaining steam. The later reports said that all the coaches in one of the conference
don't understand American sports structure. Yeah, it's different, and so. Yeah, I do think this idea seems legit to me because, so far the way that it's worked is you basically go through college to get into the draft of a pro league. But if these teams are able to break away and kind of be like a mid-tier, like semi-pro developmental league kind of situation, then we can actually develop talent here as opposed to just trying to bring talent from Europe or South America or from other countries. It tends to be the way that we are able to make our teams better is you just got to bring players from outside of the U.S. to come play here. So this would be huge for the development of the game, I think.
Conferences got together in a conference call and voted and had a discussion and kind of voted in favor of this. But of course, it's not all gravy. Apparently, and I love this because this is just classic MLS.
Oh my God.
MLS has been pushing back on this idea to the USSF because they believe it could hurt their place in the development league. Fuck your development league. Your development league doesn't do shit. The United States is a country of 350 million.
Rudy, thanks for the super chat. And it's the history of the Mavericks. Yeah. I know Rudy's a Spurs fan, so you're so happy about this right now, aren't you? This is the worst pain I've ever experienced in my life. Golly, and you guys have your... Hey, Rudy, why don't you guys trade Victor Wembanyama? Why don't y'all trade Wemby for Kevin Durant?
And people, that's an entire continent wide. Your singular development league is not going to catch all of the good players. All right, fucking put your development league above. Get the USSF to put your development league above where college soccer is.
All right, let me back up and catch that last bit again. Sorry, I was distracted by my Mavericks pain.
All of the good players. All right, fucking put your development league above. Get the USSF to put your development league above where college soccer is. I don't give a shit, but fuck your development league. Yeah. Let this good thing happen. Let 40, 50, 100, 200 colleges become part of this system that allows us to give talented individuals, no matter where they are in the United States, the opportunity to play and showcase themselves for professional teams. There's a siren. MLS is already after me right now, dude. On the flip side, as I said, USL seems to understand the assignment more and trying to grow the game everywhere. They apparently have offered these programs the chance to join their league structure. So the USL League One would be the second highest level in USL, and they're basically saying, hey, if college teams want to join that, they totally can. There's a lot to figure out about where they fit in. Are they going to actually go into the USL pyramid? Are they going to tie themselves to MLS clubs or whatever? But this needs to happen. This happening would be great because while you're never going to have an MLS development team in South Dakota, in Montana, in Nebraska, you are going to have a college. You're going to have multiple colleges. And if those colleges can find that kid that's really good in high school around there and give them the opportunity to receive good coach.
Yes, it is. Sorry to answer the chat. It is really hard to become pro in the United States because, like I said, we don't have a good system of development. So you can, we have some of the MLS clubs have youth academies, but if they're going to really, really compete, they just go and they sign European legends or they sign, aging stars from other countries, and that's what they do. So I think this would be great to have a bunch of college teams become kind of the developmental league. Yeah, I like it.
Coaching at least a semi-professional level and get some professional eyeballs on that player. And because they're also able to go to college, allow them to follow the trajectory they expected and are expected to carry out in their life, while also saying, hey, look, if you're really good, you could just be a professional football player. You could be a professional soccer player, because that avenue is not open.
Right.
That avenue is not pursued in the United States. And what always drives me crazy, and this will be my crusade every single opportunity I get, is I played for the 6th best high school team in the country in the United States. I was the backup goalkeeper. I was a vibes hire. I was a locker room guy. Okay, so I'm not over here tooting my own horn. One of those players went on to play professionally at all. And the vast majority of those players just went to college after high school and never played again. If the United States ever wants to be what it can be in football and soccer, a lot more of those kids from a team like that need to be given an opportunity to play somewhere and need to at least understand that that opportunity is there, because a great number of those kids never even considered, never even thought about maybe going to a different country to play, maybe playing in the MLS Development League, you know? Like, you need to create a world that melds U.S. culture and society with providing opportunities and showing people that it is possible to be a professional footballer. Because that doesn't exist right now here. And this could be huge to change that.
All right. I think that's a good, really good synopsis of that plan. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Smash like on this video, and I'll see you in another video.